Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Adrienne Montgomery. I'm with ERP VAR. We're going to be talking about Sage X3 and integrated advanced analytics with AI from UBIX and integrated payments by Fortis and VIP integrated payments. Recently merged, and I'm so pleased to have Maya Green and Tony Levy over at UBIX with us on the line today. A little bit about the companies here. VIP Integrated Payments just recently merged with Fortis. So they joined forces, and they are a leading provider of integrated payment technologies to North American merchants. They're differentiated because they have very strategic partnerships with multiple platforms. So not always is one platform the best for any unique customer. So they really look at the customer's unique situation and they identify the right platform for that particular use case. And they have a broad suite of end-to-end payment solutions, all with US-based customer support. And they've built very strong relationships over 25 years, and that's really what drives the cost of credit card processing down, is leveraging those relationships and knowing where to cut costs and using the data in Sage X3 to drive down those costs even more. And UBIX is a data science platform. It's designed to allow business users and subject matter experts to solve complex analytic problems without having to hire full-time data scientists to look at the data in Sage X3. It just helps provide those users with the data they need to make the right decisions inside Sage X3. So it has a complete AI lifecycle by automating and scaling the key tasks across end-to-end data and analytics pipelines. And they help X3 users of all skill levels to contribute to the development of AI applications at scale. And so first of all, we're going to kick it off with Fortis. And Fortis is going to talk about integrated payments and how to get the lowest credit card processing rates inside Sage X3. So we'll go ahead and start with Maya. Thank you, Maya. We have a couple questions for you, Maya. So if we can just call off these questions. How can merchants avoid early termination fees with long-term credit card processing contracts, Maya?
Well, first and foremost, you have to know and trust the people that you're working with. They have to be a reputable company, and they have to kind of know your industry. Meaning they have to have worked there before, know what you're looking for, know what type of merchant you are, or what type of merchant your client is. The second thing is really having the overall compatibility and solutions that are needed. Meaning that when it comes right down to it, they have to have everything that you need in order for your business to function in the payment space. A couple of main points. One is interchange optimization, or level 2 and 3 payment processing. The next thing is really kind of knowing what's in that contract and being able to either negotiate out of it or kind of work through it, or choose another processor altogether.
Maya, how can merchants avoid liquidated damages?
So just to be clear, liquidated damages is not in all merchant services contracts. The ERP contracts are a little bit different in a lot of cases because the ERP clients are generally bigger. So there are some provisions in there that make it sticky for the overall processor to kind of keep the client. And liquidated damages, what that is when you sign a long-term contract or a contract at all, generally they're 3-year term agreements. And a lot of times they have a rolling 1-year to 3-year agreement after that. The client doesn't see or know about. If a client sets up a merchant account and say they do 1 year of the 3-year agreement and want to leave, what happens is they end up having to pay the processor whatever the processor sees fit. A lot of times it is damages in what they would have made the processor times the remaining months on the contract. So if you make the processor, or your client makes the processor $1,000 a month, you have 24 months left on that 3-year contract. You're paying $24,000 to get out of the contract. So you just really want to be able to navigate that, or work with somebody that can help you navigate that. That's kind of what we do, and it's for all products, not specifically X3, but it is something that we've seen in a lot of X3 payments contracts. So indemnification.
Okay.
Sorry, if you'll back up just a little bit. There you go, Adrian. Indemnification, basically what that is in a contract, in a merchant services contract, usually you'll see a mutual indemnification, which is what you want to see. Sometimes you'll see a one-sided indemnification, meaning that basically one side has an insurance policy against the other. When you set up a merchant account, you want a mutual indemnification. So you both have that insurance policy that if something changes, or you want it to change, or you want to make changes, meaning maybe you want to add something, or maybe you want to go to a different processor, you're both covered, not just one side. Always look for the mutual indemnification in those contracts.
And then again, how do you know that your your exclusivity, how is that a form of liquidated damages?
So exclusivity basically just means that you won't have, in this contract, or in this type of contract, merchant services just means that you will have one merchant service provider that you work with. You'll be exclusive to that provider and not work with another provider. What happens is in a lot of these contracts, they have it baked into basically, if your processing volume drops a certain percentage, then you will be subject to damages, kind of like the liquidated damages that we discussed earlier. So it's really something you just want to be aware of, have somebody look at it that knows what they're looking for. If you have questions, we'd be happy to walk you through it. We're happy to, get our counsel on the line if it makes a client or a partner feel better, so they know what they're really looking at from a legal perspective. We're always happy to help. Again, it's not just specific to X3 merchants, but we have seen this a lot in the X3 merchant services contracts, just because generally they're larger merchant.
And then how do you negotiate low rates? I mean, a lot of those providers out there, competitive payment providers, claim to have the lowest rates, but how do you leverage your years of relationships to negotiate the lowest rates on behalf of a Sage X3 merchant, or any merchant for that matter?
Well, first and foremost, it's about functionality and capability of the gateways. That's what's really going to make the most difference in rates and fees. If a gateway does pass level 2 and level 3 data, i.e. gives interchange optimization, then that's one that you definitely want to work with. The other thing is having the integration to X3. If you're not integrated, generally what happens is you're taking 3 to 5 minutes extra per transaction to kind of double enter that information into the system. Whereas if you're working with an integrated solution, it is it auto populates. Basically, you put the client's information in there once and it's in there for good. Really, To get low rates, there are a couple things that you need to do. One, work with a gateway that does level 2 and level 3 payments or interchange optimization. Two, obviously know the people, the person, trust the person that you're working with directly. You have to know your industry and what to look for. You have to know kind of what is needed by that industry. Are they mostly business to business? Is that the type of business that you're doing business with or that your clients are doing business with? That's a big deal. Always require an annual rate review. Never provide that statement up front. What that means is you have a merchant statement that you get from your provider now, and that has all of your data on it that you did for the previous month. And what you want is you want somebody to come out of the gate strong. You want to know what they're able to do without providing all of the data. At some point, you will provide the data just because you want them to look at you correctly, like the type of business that you are, but you never want to provide it up front. As far as that rate review goes, once a year, every December or so, ask your provider to do a rate review it with you, go through it, make sure that they're looking at what you're looking at, see if there's anything that can be done that's better, make sure nothing has crept up. Never ever accept a tiered pricing structure. Tiered pricing, basically what that is it allows your cards to be bucketed into one of 5 buckets. You never know what you're paying to the processor and to the card brands. And those are the only 2 places that you pay in payments. The biggest bulk of that money goes to the card brands, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and Discover. And then you have also part of that goes to your processor. That's what you can affect. That's what you can negotiate. And so you never ever want a tiered pricing structure because it's not transparent. You don't know what both sides are making or why you're paying. Always work with an important person. Always request a manager, somebody that's a decision maker, not a commissioned employee, because generally they don't have the best interest in mind. It's just good business. You want to work with somebody that is going to be there too, and not a revolving door. And then obviously, as I've said a couple times in this presentation, make sure that the gateway does interchange optimization or passes level 2 and level 3 data in the authorization process. All that means is when you authorize your transaction, you're passing a few more line item details through that authorization process, therefore getting the business to business cards that can be optimized the lower rates that are offered by the card brands. So you're just cutting your cost.
And so just to make it clear, when you say work with a manager, you want to work with like a stakeholder at a company, right? Upper level management or an owner, because that really helps minimize the potential for any commissions to be added to the credit card processing transactions, correct?
Well, at the very least, you want a sales manager or somebody that can make those decisions right away. You don't want to be strung along for a long period of time. You don't want to be given information that's incorrect. At the very least, have a sales manager on the phone with your commissioned employee if that's all you can get. Don't make a decision until they put somebody on that is a decision maker, because then you know that at least you're getting what you should get from the people that you should get it from.
Perfect. And then what are your thoughts about equipment leasing? Why is that something you wouldn't never recommend?
So we never recommend leasing anything. It's kind of like leasing a car. It's generally not a good idea. You're not going to get a bunch of value out of it, and it's going to be overpriced. When it comes right down to it, a lot of X3 clients do not need a physical terminal on the counter, but if they do, generally you're overpaying for that terminal. So what I would say is, if somebody is trying to lease you a terminal or rent you a terminal, not either giving it to you for free or allowing you to buy it outright so it's yours, it's probably worth steering clear of. When it comes right down to it, again, the X3 clients generally don't need a terminal on the counter. We do have that option available to integrate those terminals on the counter, but we sell them at cost, and the cost is very, very minimal. Or if you need multiple terminals, we could come up with something that makes sense. We may even, be willing to give the terminal away, or allow you to borrow the terminal and not pay for it, just return it if you were to ever leave. So it's really what it is, and when it's used is by merchant service providers that don't really have anything else to offer, and they're kind of trying to tie you in. So read the fine print. You don't want to lease equipment. It's just in our industry, it's definitely not a good thing to do.
We spoke about this earlier, but there's a lot of those credit card processing companies that claim that they can save you thousands of dollars if you sign up with them. How does a merchant, how can they tell if that credit card processing company who's contacting them are overstating or overpromising savings? Is there some red flags that you can point out to be on the look for?
Sure. The one that I see the most is overstating savings in level 2 and level 3 processing, because it's the easiest way for somebody to say that they're going to save you money and not really have to back the math out. So just so you know, if you are 100% business to business, not all business cards qualify for interchange optimization or level 2, level 3 payments. What that means is not all of your cards are going to get that lower rate, even if the gateway does interchange optimization. So generally, the rule of thumb is if you are 100% business to business, you probably have 20 to 40% of your cards that are presented to you that can be optimized. And some of these payment gateways that say they do interchange optimization do it at about a 60% clip of that 40%. Some of them do a little bit better. All of the gateways that we work with do a 90% or better clip of interchange optimization or level 2 and level 3 payments. When you see thousands of dollars of savings in credit card processing, generally what you're going to want to do is get a second opinion or call in somebody that knows. You can always call us. When you have 602 transactions, that's a good telltale sign that you actually are going to be able to save quite a bit of money, because if you do 602 transactions and you're not integrated and you save 3 to 5 minutes per transaction per month on 602 transactions, think about that over the year. So you monetize that, you can give somebody 2 other jobs that, we're doing the data entry work on that. The other thing is, when you see the overall savings, level 3 savings, say you do 693 cards like it shows here, and 602 of those are saying that they're being optimized, that's generally not going to be true. That's way too big of a percentage of your overall cards that they're saying are going to be optimized. So the data is just wrong. Assume that probably 300, 2 to 300 of those 600 cards would probably be, able to be optimized. So the overall, you're really probably looking at maybe $900 to $1,200 in that $2,107 section there. But what you also want to do is, in that case, consider that the overall savings also is going to come from the time savings. In this case, it's overstated on the level 3 and maybe not on the time savings. But just be careful when you're looking at merchant service providers that they're giving you the right data and they're not over promising and under delivering, because $3,800 a month for anybody or $46,000 a year is a big deal. But if you only save $6,000 and you're expecting 40,000 more, you're probably going to be annoyed and upset. So we can help you kind of weed through that minutia.
And you can just make it more realistic, so that, you know, expectations are met. And Maya, how can a merchant know that you're going to be there for them, or that you know, your support is U.S. based? What are you hearing out there about other providers who provide support? Is there a lag in response time, or can you just kind of differentiate how you approach support over at VIP and Fortis as opposed to some of the other options out there?
Sure. So one thing that you have to look at is how long a company has been in the industry, or the people at a company have been in the industry. That's the telltale sign if you're working with somebody that you want to, you know, build a relationship with, or you want to, you know, go a different direction. The other thing is as you see on this slide here, you have our direct cell phone numbers. So specifically, we work with a lot of X3 partners, end users. You know, we've built partnerships over the years, and we want them to have our direct contact. Now we can, you know, deal with the problem directly and route it to where it needs to go. But this is generally the quickest, easiest way for a client and a partner to get a problem solved, is to be able to reach us directly. The phone numbers are the same. The email addresses have changed. So my email address is maya.green@fortispay.com. Tom's is tom.nancy@fortispay.com. And Mike Fields is Mike.Fields@fortispay.com. Actually, you know what? Mike.Fields@fortispay.com. So with that, really, it's just having a direct line of communication with the person or people that you work with to be able to route or get to the problem as soon as possible. That's really the differentiators, and that's what needs to happen for most of these clients. When you're talking about, you know, ERP or X3 size clients, really they don't have the time to mess around with trying to figure out where their support's coming from. So we have them contact us directly, and we will try to route it as needed.
And what is your typical response time? Is it, you know, within an hour, or what is your goal to get back to people? Let's say you're on the line with someone else and somebody leaves you a voicemail. Are you typically getting back with them within the hour, or does it take a couple hours? Or
yeah, so usually it depends. I mean, obviously it depends on the day, but we try to do it by end of day the same day. Most of the time the issues are very minimal, so it doesn't take very long to, you know, knock out the problem and clear it up. So the rule of thumb for us is to try to get it handled by the end of the day. Most of the time we're getting to it within the hour. And it just depends on where the issue is coming from. Is it a batch issue? Is it an actual technical support issue? Is it a processor issue? It's really simple to set up an overall screen share and knock the problem out within a few minutes. So, but rule of thumb is by the end of the day.
Well, thank you so much, Maya. I'm going to go ahead and let Tony get started with his part of the presentation, talking about advanced analytics and artificial intelligence inside Sage X3. So thank you so much, Tony.
Hey, thanks so much, Adrian. Thanks so much, Maya. And to all of you on the webinar, welcome. My name is Tony Levy. I'm the VP of Product Management at UBIX. And on behalf of UBIX, let me just say that we're thrilled and excited to be here today in partnership with ERP VAR and VIP Integrated Payments / Fortis, as we're collectively describing how you can add new capabilities to your Sage X3 infrastructure to unlock new business value in these uncertain times. And Maya did a great job of talking about driving more efficient transaction processing, and here we're going to shift towards also helping drive more effective decision making with analytics. So let me just get my screen working here, and there we go. So think of UBIX as an advanced analytics and data science platform. It's designed to help business users and domain experts such as business analysts, financial analysts, demand planners, inventory analysts, production planners, solve analytic challenges that were simply not possible before, and to do this fast, reliably, and affordably. This is the next big wave in unlocking business value for mid-market companies in all industries and all geographies. And so the question is, why is this important? Why now? And why UBIX? The short answer is volatility, uncertainty, and risk. In a world like today, where demand for products is uncertain, supply is at risk, and input commodity prices are highly volatile, every company needs new analytic tools and disciplines to anticipate and shape business outcomes more effectively. Now, traditional ERP and reporting tools alone cannot address the analytic opportunities that exist from the front office to the back office in your organizations, from customer analytics and demand planning to production and procurement. UBIX extends Sage X3 to empower business users to address these high-value analytic use cases with data science and advanced analytics. And we offer compelling pre-built analytic solutions from our solution library across a range of use cases to help you get started quickly, reliably, and affordably. Now, business systems like Sage X3 are already providing flexible, on-demand digitization of core business operations, in effect driving digital transformation. With the advent of data science and advanced analytics, organizations can now analyze unprecedented volumes of data from disparate data sources, and to do this faster, continuously, and cost-effectively to drive new insights throughout the enterprise. We call this the era of the intelligent business, where intelligent processes and applications tap into both internal and external data to generate new insights and foresight that drive intelligent action for greater business impact. Now, we help you create the intelligent business by transforming the way you measure, the way you monitor, the way you analyze operational and financial data to drive timely, more effective decision-making. UBIX helps you shift, in a sense, from the left side of this slide to the right side, from an over-reliance on human intuition in making decisions to the right side, which is to derive new insights automatically from data to augment human judgment. For example, if today you create demand forecasts using human judgment alone, then with UBIX, you enable advanced algorithms to create more accurate demand forecasts based on historical data, as well as external drivers, perhaps weather or consumer price indices. Not only are machine-generated forecasts more accurate, but when they're done well, they can remove bias that is often found in human judgment. You then reconcile human judgment with the machine-generated forecasts, make adjustments, and submit the final forecast to the plan of record. UBIX helps you shift from an over-reliance on manual spreadsheets and traditional reporting tools to the right side of the slide, which is to leverage modern cloud analytics and automation that includes proven algorithms that operate on more granular data, say down to the item level, as well as external data to create new insights, new inferences, and predictions that were not possible before. With UBIX, you shift from an over-reliance on solely historical internal data in making decisions to augmenting that internal historical data with causal drivers that are often external, such as commodity price indices, to create new insights that drive business impact. UBIX is an advanced analytics platform. It manages the end-to-end data science lifecycle and bridges the gap between business and domain users and data scientists and data engineers. While other data science platforms focus on Python developers and data scientists, UBIX, on the other hand, focuses on domain users such as business analysts, financial analysts, demand planners, and more. We believe that until the domain user is brought into the analytics process early, data science will not be abundant, reliable, and cost-effective. With UBIX, companies can leverage existing infrastructure, for example, your Sage X3 infrastructure, combine both internal ERP data and external data to generate new insights. Specifically, the UBIX platform ingests and assembles data. We enable business users to build analytic solutions to put into production. These solutions then create new inferences and predictions, and we pass those to the appropriate end user applications and interfaces. This way, data science-enabled processes and applications can be built quickly and cost-effectively to deliver timely, reliable foresight to drive intelligent action. In effect, we help you become smarter without hiring expensive, hard-to-find talent. Now, because UBIX is a general-purpose data science platform, we address any number of data types and use cases from the front office to the back office. And here we list just a few examples. So from the top, on the customer-facing side, all the way down to the back office, customer analytics is about analyzing data from a company's e-commerce site, such as transactions, navigation, interaction with various website widgets, and creating analytic models from these that predict the next best action for users. Perhaps it's a complementary product to purchase along with the target and intended product. Perhaps it's a price promotion. The most common goal here is to increase share of wallet and reduce customer churn. In accounts receivable collection analytics, a company is able to model customer attributes such as firmographics and payment history to infer the likelihood that a customer who has missed a past due invoice will pay in the next period. And then by segmenting customers, the accounts receivable team can optimize resources to improve collections and reduce collection costs. So for example, segment C might be a set of customers that is very unlikely to pay. These can be sold to an outside collection agency. Segment B are a segment of customers that are likely to pay, and these are sent a phone call. And then segment A are a set of customers that are very likely to pay, and they're sent an email. Demand forecasting is the most basic of use cases for the majority of hard goods companies, whether a manufacturer or distributor or retailer. By analyzing order history as well as external factors, one can create more reliable demand forecasts by time period, by SKU, by channel. Imagine what a 30% improvement in forecast accuracy can do for a company in terms of reducing working capital requirements and safety stock levels. Commodity procurement analytics is about using internal procurement data combined with external commodity index data to create more reliable commodity price forecasts. And then combined with demand, the ability to make better procurement recommendations. A 3 to 5% procurement savings drops right down to the bottom line. Connected field services about monitoring sensor data from products, perhaps used by some of your customers, such as appliances or heating and ventilation equipment, to detect anomalies and predict failures. This leads to improved spare parts planning and field service scheduling in order to reduce the cost of field service and increase top-line growth for field service revenues. These are just a few examples of how data science and advanced analytics can help Sage X3 customers unlock business value. Now let me share with you a customer case study. This is a meat processor based in the Midwest. They convert beef and pork and turkey proteins into various products for sale into two market segments. The restaurant market segment is experiencing a significant decline during the pandemic. And then on the other hand, the specialty food retail and distribution market is seeing significant growth. A new CFO joined the company 3 years ago to drive digital transformation. He replaced their legacy ERP and then started to build out an analytic foundation using Snowflake as a data lake and Microsoft Power BI as the analytic workbench. This is when we met the CFO, and he told us that their number one business challenge is coping with input commodity price volatility. His company's caught in the middle. On the one hand, they buy proteins on the open market, and on the other hand, large retailers are putting pressure on price. And he wanted to use analytics to help his procurement team make better buy decisions. And he recognized that his analytic foundation was missing a critical component, namely a data science platform to combine both internal procurement data with third-party external commodity index data to create models that forecast commodity prices going forward. The output of UBIX feeds both the ERP reporting module and then Power BI as their analytic workbench. These are there are two use cases with this customer. The first use case creates a reliable commodity price forecasts using third-party data and historical internal procurement data. The second use case is the demand forecast, creates a more reliable demand forecast. And then we have quantity from the demand forecast and price from the price forecast. We then make a more reliable procurement or quantity times price recommendation. And as you can see, the business value is significant. The 3-cent savings per pound in procurement is worth $1 million in annual procurement savings. This drops right down to the bottom line. The ROI in advanced analytics is substantial. And that case study underscores the reason that data science and advanced analytics is frankly so important, particularly in these turbulent times where volatility, uncertainty, and risk are increasing. Advanced analytics can unlock significant business value across a range of business challenges. Now, at the heart of our strategy to deliver value quickly and affordably to mid-market companies is our solution library, as illustrated here on this slide. Through our own efforts and those of our partners, we have access to hundreds of analytic solutions in a range of industries, from retail and industrials to energy, financial services, and other services. Many of these were built and have been in production for over 20 years. If one of your use cases can be addressed by one of these pre-built models, then the implementation effort's very low and the time to value is very fast. Now we monetize these models and we sell them for an annual subscription fee that ranges in price depending on the value that they unlock. So this library of solutions allows you to accelerate your analytics journey, to receive value at every step, in a sense, to allow one use case to fund the next use case. So this should be a self-funding analytic journey. For instance, you can start by addressing demand planning, as we talked about earlier. Create a more reliable demand plan, and then check that there's sufficient global capacity to fulfill that demand, and from where that will be fulfilled. And then create more reliable and feasible production plans. Perhaps today you're not building production schedules that are capacity constrained and therefore really aren't feasible. And then address safety stock levels in the warehouse and more optimal routings within the warehouse. And then optimize logistics and the total supply network if your business includes trucks. You can then tackle procurement, as we discussed earlier in the case study, and then finally even predictive maintenance of equipment that maybe at your customer sites to reduce the cost of field service. The point is that the opportunity to unlock business value is really endless. And again, think of these use cases as self-funding. You implement one use case and you allow the savings or the revenue uplift to fund the next use case. So a self-funding cycle of analytics. Now, demand planning, as mentioned earlier, is a great place to start in all companies that are in the hard goods industries, from manufacturing to distribution and retail, because human judgment alone cannot cope with volatility, uncertainty, and risk. Human judgment is not only struggles with variability, but is also subject to bias. And there are many forms of bias. For example, anchoring bias is the tendency to make judgments by reference to a benchmark, which frankly may or may not be relevant. We see this when a forecast is constructed by reference to a target or a previous forecast, resulting in underestimating the variation or the level of randomness, or what is called noise. Confirmation bias is the tendency to seek evidence which confirms existing beliefs and ignores that which doesn't. We see this when we remember that we have correctly spotted bias in the forecast created by other people, but not when we ourselves fail. This often justifies adjusting other people's forecasts. These are just some examples, but there are probably 15 different biases that can impact forecasts. So when a machine-generated forecast is created, then we can reduce bias significantly. Now, some of you are using traditional statistical forecast methods with your forecasts. These are largely based on history. They may be adequate at handling fast-moving items, but don't work in complex, volatile demand patterns. Demand is impacted by external drivers such as local weather, foot traffic, local demographics, might be age or income, ethnicity, consumer tastes, and even social media. Our solution uses data science to combine external and internal data. It avoids overfitting the data by minimizing or pruning out factors that have little to no demand impact. The solution can apply data science not only on a product store or channel level, but also at different levels of aggregation and with flexible groupings. The value opportunity is significant. Imagine the reductions in working capital requirements if a company can improve forecast accuracy by 40%, increase inventory turns by 20%. In summary, we're confident that the strategic application of advanced analytics and data science can help you as a Sage X3 customer gain greater speed, greater agility, greater foresight in these uncertain times. So the call to action here is, look, to reach out to Miles Mahoney, our Chief Revenue Officer, to schedule a discovery call. Miles will help you understand the value opportunity of applying advanced analytics from the front office to the back office, from customer analytics to financial analytics, demand forecasting, inventory allocation, replenishment, procurement, and many more. We will then prioritize the high-value use cases and scope out the work and kick off a project. In closing, the opportunities are endless and the ROI is significant. So act now. And with that, I'll hand the microphone back to Adrian and we'll engage in any question and answers during the Q&A session. Adrian?
And you should see the contact information on the screen here. As Tony mentioned, Miles is the Chief Revenue Officer over at UBIX, and he'd be happy to talk with you about your requirements. And Maya would also be very happy to talk to you about your Sage X3 integrated payments questions and see which platform is the best fit for your needs. And Maya, does your email address forward to that new email address that you mentioned earlier still?
Yeah, it sure does. Okay. Yeah, it will continue to. So feel free to reach out to that one, but pretty simple, maya.green@fortispay.com.
And with that, we'll go ahead and close out our presentation today. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, we really appreciate you spending your time with us. We know it's hard to come by, and taking a minute to learn about these two excellent solutions for Sage X3. We did record this presentation, and we will be sending out a email with the recording and the PowerPoint presentation so that you can easily reach out after the presentation. So everybody have a great day and take care. Bye-bye.